session is called Stories from Wayanad and Koratty, Pioneering the Global IT Landscape from Tier 3 Heights. And today we have the privilege of hearing from two distinguished trailblazers. The first speaker is Allwyn Kent, a seasoned global professional turned socially conscious entrepreneur who co-founded a groundbreaking tech company in Wayanad. And our second speaker is Jilu Joseph, a passionate entrepreneur who transitioned from a corporate tech role. So from a corporate company, she became the CEO of Webandcrafts, which is placed in Koratty. So facilitating this enlightening session is Anoop Ambika, as we all know, a serial entrepreneur with deep-rooted passion for technology, currently spearheading the Kerala Startup Mission. And Mr. Anoop's illustrious career includes notable stints with industry giants such as GE, NEC, and Lucent, where he contributed significantly to quality initiatives. And Mr. Anoop has co-founded multiple startups and is dedicated to driving innovation through the Kerala Startup Mission. So the narratives shared by our esteemed speakers from these lesser known regions shed light on the transformative potential of local talent in shaping the IT landscape. So dear delegates, ladies and gentlemen, join us as we delve into the inspiring journeys and explore the profound impact that they have had on tech innovation. So, shall we welcome our speakers and moderator? Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let us invite, as I mentioned earlier, the superstar, the hero of startups, the CEO of the Kerala Startup Mission, Mr. Anoop Ambika is on stage. Let us welcome him with a thundering round of applause. Welcome, sir, to this discussion. And next we have on stage Mr. Allwyn Kent, the CEO of Vonnue, the CEO of Vonnue. And we also have Ms. Jilu Joseph, the founder and CEO of Webandcrafts. Welcome, ma'am. So, Anoop, sir, all yours now.
Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good morning. Good morning. No energy. I think people are a little tired after a long session. But I can tell you for one that this is one of the panel discussions that I'm really looking forward to, very excited about, because we can do all the events, all the gala, all the panel discussions, but I think what should ideally translate out of this is that entrepreneurs should come up, companies should come and invest and create jobs and wealth. And we have two people here, very accomplished people, who have successfully done that over the last several years. That is why I'm very excited and passionate about this particular panel discussion. I'll give a little bit of a context on why you should listen very carefully to this lady and gentleman, because one of the things that we keep telling people is that Kerala as a state is like Bangalore or Chennai or Hyderabad. We are a large urban agglomeration of 39,000 square kilometers, fully connected through an optical fiber network, fully connected through road, rail, and having several airports, which gives us an opportunity to start a company, a knowledge-based company, in any location of Kerala. So we are saying that do not look at Trivandrum, do not look at Cochin only, do not look at Bangalore only. You can do it in Wayanad, you can do it in the remotest places of Calicut, you can do it in Koratty, you can do it in Trichur. I was just telling Surya, who is here from Microsoft, that Trichur has a very vibrant design ecosystem. So how do you make it happen? Which is what these guys are going to tell you. So listen very carefully if you have entrepreneurial aspirations about starting something in the remote towns or villages of Kerala. So I would like to start with introducing, you can do your self-introductions and also talk about the very peculiar names that you have for the companies and talk a bit about the journey that you have had in the last few years. How did you grow? What was the challenges, etc. But, keep it to like 3 minutes of self-introduction and the company 3 to 5 minutes. Jilu, you can start. Yes, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jilu. I am the CEO of Webandcrafts. So to start with the name, Webandcrafts is a catchy name, of course, but may not have such a story to tell in those aspects, because it was in 2009 when the founder and my husband, Ebin, started this journey when he was doing his final year in engineering. That was in Chennai. So he thought maybe he will have few more people added to the team. So that's how the first 3 members, that's Clint, he's into the creative team, and Vinod, he's to the technology team, and Bharat, like he was the operations side, he was handling the operations. So then, it took a turn that whatever they were building, it was just been mentioned like, okay, designed by Jilu Joseph also. So our mentor, who is Joseph Matapalli, he suggested it's not a good practice to keep your name there. Let's go with a company name. And he suggested the name Webandcrafts, and it got so lucky for us that today we are a team of 350 members serving clients across the globe like IKEA, Lulu, Joya Lucas, and many more, with a turnover of around 40 crores, operating from Koratty Info Park. So that's the journey in a nutshell, and recently we rebranded our name to WAC, W-A-C, that's a short form for Webandcrafts, in align with the new trend of logo, naming system and everything, because we are positioning ourselves to an international brand. So the journey so far, of course, I joined the company in 2016 after marriage. So I was working with Cognizant for 3 years, then I did my MBA in finance and HR. So I joined the company handling the HR and finance aspect. Initially, I would say it's more of every job that I do, from the receptionist to handling the sales, like, maybe sending a mail, sometimes cleaning things, sometimes attending, everything I did, because that's how we learn about the company. So later on, it was HR that I handled, then finance, and today, last October we announced, and January, like I took the role of Chief Executive Officer as a CEO of the company. That's a journey, and we are planning to have our offices open in Dubai shortly, and planning for expansion in US and other European areas too.
Thank you.
Okay, so Vonnue, now we are a bit deep tech company, and the name, I think I will start with the name. So Vonnue is actually a short for a computer scientist or a mathematician called Von Neumann. And when we started the company, we really wanted it to be a highly tech, purely solving the problems in the most efficient, in the most technical manner. And we thought we should actually give the credit of the name to somebody who contributed, who actually kind of made us start this company. And we believed that somebody like Von Neumann, the number of papers he wrote on computer science and the efficiency and how we see algorithms, we see it by default, okay, it's there in front of us. But we believe that he has actually fast-tracked the human race progress by almost 10 years. So that's why we named it Von Neumann, and we want to stick to the principles of people like him, and our employees should see these characters as motivation, and that's also one thing that what you want to be in life, right? And instead of saying I want to buy a Ferrari or something of that sort, we want our employees to be idolizing these figures in the history. So that's the name. And about us as a company, do you want to cover how we started? Okay,
please go ahead.
Yeah. So we started in Wayanad. Everybody is wondering why Wayanad and things like that. And it's to do with, after college, I was working in the corporate side for 15 years almost. And eventually I was in sales, and there was always this thought process around starting a company. But I come from the typical Milton Friedman kind of economics followers, where it's very clearly written in your mind that the only sole purpose of running a company is actually making money for the investors. Or that's the Friedman dogma, or like we come from that class. And then I was running a APAC division for a large organization, and I had a P&L of something around 200 million. And I used to think if the only sole purpose is making money for the investors, then this is good enough. Grow here, be the CEO. You have this whole money-making engine going on, much more easier life. And then one fine morning, you get this feeling that no, it's not. Friedman need not be like fully correct, right? So the sole purpose of running a company can be not just making money for the investors, but it can actually have a few other causes. It can actually be a situation in which we started believing that I'm somebody not because me as an individual just grew up, right? The schools I studied, or a place like Wayanad, it's filled with immigrants from Kottayam and places like that, right? They build these schools out of sweat. I got the education because of a society contributed to my growth. It's not just me as an individual who grew up here. And then that kind of pushed us, me and we have another partner, Alan, and he is a hardcore techie, with patents in his name, and he was working with companies like NetApp, and his patents are in the field of storage and network, etc. So he was a hardcore techie, and we thought, no, it's time for us to actually build a company which is both capitalist and again with a social cause. So that's how we ended up in Wayanad. We are around 3 years in business, and with the latest recruitment, we are around 150 people operating out of this town called Sultan Batheri, and kind of we feel happy that we can build applications that run satellites, applications that is the core to banking systems and high security softwares sitting in Sultan Batheri, and nothing stops it. So. Yep,
that is fantastic, Allwyn. So we now know that it is possible. So I'll pose a question to the audience. How many of you think that money is going to be one of the major aspirations in your life? I want to be extremely wealthy. How many would raise their hands? Okay, at least I congratulate you to be true to yourself. I know that 90% of the people want to raise their hands. They won't, because Kerala being Kerala, somehow money is considered as, amassing a lot of wealth is considered evil, is what I've seen in the past, right? But money is not going to be the only solution for your problems, right? At some point of time, you will reach a stage where you look at yourself and see what you're doing, and that is where the jobs that you create, the lives that you touch is going to be more important for you than the wealth that you amass. But both of you guys have done it because you really wanted to prove a point of creating success. And I call them champions. The easy route, which I took. When I wanted to start a company, I went to Trivandrum Technopark, set up a company. It was not easy, but still, it was far more easier than what you guys have probably gone through. So setting up something in a tier 2 location needs champions with a cause. So I would like to ask you, what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages that you had when you went and tried to set up in a tier 2 location, right, or tier 3 location, if I may say so? Jilu, what is it that from your side, what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages that you have?
Okay, before getting to that, if I have to be very frank, I would say in business, my focus would be more like I should have profit in what I do. If not, then there is no point in, doing things. Maybe money won't be solving every problem, but it can make things better, even in the aspect of, giving back to the society or giving back to my own team. it makes sense. So for me, it's important. Profit is important,
Jilu,
of
I
course.
will just add one point to that. I think that is a very, very, very important point, and something that I also tell the startups is that so I asked, few days back I was in Kannur and I was asking the startups, why did you start up?
Okay.
People said all kinds of things. People said, creating jobs, creating scalability, world-class products. Nobody said money or profits until, I kept on asking, and finally someone in a very feeble voice said, profit. As if it's like some big crime that you're doing. So I absolutely, and please go ahead. I just wanted to reiterate that point once more. Yes.
Thank you. Even, the first thing that I told my team after I took charge as a CEO, the first thing that I told is like every second that you work here in this company, you make sure that that is billed and the amount is being received in our account. That's the value addition that you are going to bring. So that's my stand on it. And, back to the question, like what are the disadvantages and advantages? So let me start with disadvantages because that would make more sense. First is, of course, resource hiring. Being in a tier 2 company or in a place, the availability of the resource is going to be scarce and people won't be very much interested in the vacancies that you have. They always tend to, even their families, if I have an opening in Koratty, their families will be questioning our HR. Is Koratty having a place for my daughter to stay? Do you have water there? Do you have roads there? That's the basic things that they would be asking because they are not much aware about it. And the second thing is like, of course, in regard to the business development, we have faced constraints. Like there are companies who think a small company located in a village won't be able to make it like these corporates, in these bigger cities. There are cases. And coming to the advantages, first thing I would say, again, the resources. How it happens is, you will get people with good attitude who stay with you, who learn with you, and who are loyal enough. Maybe it may take a little more time for them to come to that position, but you can trust them. You can build something solid from there. Second thing, the relationship that you build with other companies in that area. So Koratty Info Park is a small info park with around 35 companies, small companies, but we know every company owners there. So there is a pact. From there even we have business development happening, like people refer to us, new clients. Their clients, when a bigger project comes, they refer to us. So even we can have business development happening from the circle, the inside circle. So the third thing, which you may feel like a little, the thing is like people won't be poaching our resources because we know everyone there. So the chance of poaching or headhunting is low there. So these are the benefits, and one major thing for the resources or the team members is that the living cost is very low there compared to big cities like Bangalore or even Cochin. Koratty is affordable to them. So these are the advantages, I would say, and that has helped us a lot in growing, and the support from the media, and from parks and everything like that. That helps. So that's more about it.
That is fantastic actually, because I agree. I totally agree, because Technopark, I actually started my first company in Technopark in 2003. It used to be a smaller fraternity. We had a grouping called GTech, through which I have made many friends who is sitting in this group itself. The park has grown, the info park has grown. Now it is a large ocean of companies and a large amount of people. So you kind of lose that close-knit community feeling, which very well now exists in the smaller parks like Koratty. I know, Allwyn, you have a different angle about the advantages and disadvantages of Wayanad. I see Roshan sitting here, who actually wrote an excellent article in Madhrubhumi a few weeks back about how decentralization is happening in the state of Kerala when it comes to the knowledge ecosystem. That was a beautiful article in which I think both these people were mentioned. Allwyn, why don't you tell people about some of the advantages and disadvantages that you saw while setting up, and it's in Batheri. I personally visited Allwyn's office. It's a small building in Batheri in which like around 150 people are sitting and doing world-class work. How did you get there? What are the advantages, disadvantages?
So I think the disadvantage part is maybe the infrastructure, right? Like having a building and things like that. But I think as a small, until you are like 300, 400 people, I don't think that's a huge disadvantage as such. We see, it's one what she said, like for the families to know that okay, this is a serious company. It's not some shady business happening in a shopping mall or something like that. And allowing their kids to come and work, we still have a lot of problems where our employees have to literally fight with their parents for not resigning because they keep going home and saying, hey, I'm getting salary, and it's not like I'm not paid, or it's not I'm actually put in behind the chains that I'm going to Wayanad every day. Especially people from the Kannur and these regions, they have this fear of their kids working in Wayanad. That's the biggest challenge, and to overcome that challenge, we focus a lot on recruiting from this Malayora region. That's actually working out good. But I would say, like we many of the advantages we are having today was completely not thought through. A few, like for example, like employee retention, it's massive. We had almost literally on the growth of this 150 people, we had almost 0 resignations. Another thing is actually we tapped into completely untapped, beautiful, intelligent minds. And so today, Vonnue is almost 50-50 female to male ratio. And how this happened is we started recruiting from local colleges. And I know I'm a bit generalizing here, but this is a fact we have seen is that in Kerala and maybe in India generally, there is a tendency to spend higher on their sons than daughters. So people send their sons to Pala and PC Thomas, etc. if they have a decent marks, like 70% even, they send them to Pala to get the best places, and they get into engineering college, etc. But when it comes to daughters, they send them to do a BSc Math in the best college out there. And our biggest recruitment crowd became these BSc Maths kids. Because computer science is again a mathematics stream, right? To convert a mathematics person to a computer science engineer, it takes very little short time because their ability to understand the OOPS concepts and things like that, a tree, right? It's actually more easier because most of the engineers who are available in Kerala, and you ask them the theory of computation subject, they're clueless. Or ask them on data structures, they're like clueless. So these mathematics kids are brilliant, and these are like really brilliant daughters available in these colleges, and they just didn't go for engineering. And recently we recruited 40 people and 30 are women, and it's we are not giving any reservation, absolutely nothing. But in the villages and in tier 3 cities, this is a massively untapped potential. And the beauty of the code written by mathematical professionals it's superb because they're used to writing large equations which cannot go wrong if they started wrong, right? So they have this massive intense thought process to start the equation correct. So these are advantages we never thought of. And on top of that, for example, we give free accommodation and food to all our employees. And this is possible only because it's easier to get larger houses and things like that in Wayanad. Right? It's easy to get a cook. We run a kind of a mess where the food is served in office, and the whole population can actually stay in apartments we give. So the quality of life of every employee is kind of similar, so that you get higher salary, you stay in a bigger place, or you get lower salary, you stay in a smaller place. Those things are solved. I don't think it's easier to do it in a place like a larger city. This kind of so these are and on top of it, savings, right? So we pay similar to any other companies, maybe higher than companies like IBM or Accenture. But the savings these kids are, like one of the reasons they are staying back is because they are not spending money on day-to-day basic quality of life. So the quality of life, shot up crazy that they don't need to keep spending, and now they are taking vacations which is much more lavish than people in Bangalore. Like, kids are flying abroad, they are like, they're going to Himalayas and things like that, and I think these are advantages which we never foresee. And
Absolutely. So, I think one of the things that I hoped you would say, but I'm going to say it anyways. How many of you have a IT company? Say, anybody who runs an IT company here? Okay, some few people. Any of that without an air conditioning? Allwyn's company is the first company that I've seen in a very long time. I've seen it in the past, like 20 years back. Allwyn's company is the first company that I've seen which does not have air conditioning. They only do an air filtration, and the PPM outside the room and inside the room, the air quality inside the room is far superior to what it is outside the room. So I personally believe that when I'm standing there, my creative juices are going to flow because I'm breathing good oxygen. How is that possible? That is only possible in probably Wayanad or Munnar, right? Because you cannot in Cochin, you cannot sit without air conditioning. But in Wayanad and Munnar, at least now, you're able to sit. But how is that helping in your business development is what I was truly amazed about. Why don't you say that story, Ali?
So, it's two things, right? Like, we are a carbon neutral company or carbon positive company actually. So we create more power than actually used by us, and it started with, we invest a lot into data science and AI analytics, and we have like a huge, a small data center on graphics cards, which is doing a lot of model training, etc. And we saw that there is a lot of power consumption there, and then we went and invested in solar. So the entire rooftop of our the building is filled with solar, and we produce surplus. And we had this it's like the reason we didn't go for air condition was a bit social, and because we knew that the laborers working around our building, right, and the heat we will pump out. We felt a bit bourgeois we run the company for profit, like she said. It's not like, we are a hardcore socialist or anything like that. But once in a while you get the feeling that, you should not be too much when you can actually do it. So we did that experiment. We got a person who actually does air conditions for operation rooms, the operation theaters, and we did that filtration system, and actually people liked it more than air condition, right? Although we did it on a social cause, now actually our employees don't want air condition because they think it's making it more drier. They feel like getting out of the room much more often than this filtration system. And with the solar and this in the AC might not have made us a carbon positive easier. And when it comes to business, right? So we recently signed a contract with this, the British company Economist, the magazine, right? So the funny thing is, like, the Economist app, which is maybe one of the highest subscription in the news media world, that app is going to be built from Wayanad. So one of the primary thing is that one of the questions in that tender is that what is your ESG plan for the next 3 years, and what is your ESG plan for what you have done in the last 3 years. So all we had to show is our female to male ratio and the carbon neutrality. And in the whole tender, there was no one somewhere close to even carbon neutrality. Forget it. So we had this massive advantage in the tender that it was almost impossible to throw us out, if we met the technical qualifications.
Absolutely. So I think that is because, it definitely deserves a round of applause. Because, marketing and sales for us was always aggressive salesmen going an aggressive pitch about your technology and, all the things that you have and don't have in front of a set of prospective customers. But that world is slowly changing. The world is slowly changing where the metrics against which a product or a project is awarded will also depend upon the ESG parameters that we will have. And that is where these kind of sustainable IT business models are going to be a huge advantage. Now I will ask That is 7 more minutes, okay. So I also want to open up for any questions that you have. If you don't have any questions, I'll continue. Please, please. Can someone hand over a mic to her?
So my name is Shifna, and currently I am working as an HR officer of one of the IT companies in Calicut, that is Possible Solutions. So a very warm good afternoon to you all, to the esteemed panel. So my question is pointing on to Mrs. Jilu Joseph. So I just want to ask, in the coming days, okay, maybe if I want to come up with a startup idea, as a working woman or as a mother or as a wife, what are the challenges that we would be facing? And suppose if I want to connect with Mr. Anoop for a space, okay, so what would be the challenges that as a woman I would be facing to come up with a startup? I know it is easy to say where you have a vision, everything will happen. But the vision would always come up with some sort of bumpy roads, or maybe for a woman, as Mr. Allwyn Kent said, we are in India, we are in Kerala for women. So women, it is always a bumpy road. Maybe I would say more than a bumpy, it would be pits. So what are the challenges that we would be facing? How we can overcome those challenges? Thank you.
Yes, that's a very tricky question, because still I am learning how to overcome these challenges, because one day there will be one challenge, next day it is going to be something else, maybe bigger or smaller. So, I am a mother of 2 boys. One is 3-year-old and the other is 1-year-old. So that's a messy scene at home. And at the office, like this January, I took over the charge of CEO. Again, that's a huge responsibility on my shoulders, I understand. There are 2 things which I would say. Actually, Eben told me on October 1st, to take up the role of CEO. And I was in a position where I was immediately telling no, even I was thinking to tell you that I am going to take a break, because I don't understand how I am going to manage these 2 kids and office, because I had a break in between. I have to now, even though I am going to be back to office, first I have to sit with the HR team and the finance team, make sure things were all going good. And if there is anything, I have to fill those gaps. Then the next part. And he was like, may not, this is the right chance for you, or, this is the right time. And our mentors, our parents, and everyone was supportive, with words that you should be taking that. Yeah, that's an encouragement, that's a motivation. But at the end of the day, when we go to sleep, we will be thinking, how am I going to do it? But one thing, which was a realization for me is that you can't be ready enough anytime. Don't wait to be ready. Don't think like you are going to be smart enough, or qualified enough, or going to be the perfect fit also, okay? If you are in that position, or if someone is going to throw you an opportunity because you are ready, just grab it and do it. Second thing, be yourself. As I was telling, when I joined in 2016, I was coming from a corporate background. In CTS or in any corporate, you understand how it works. If someone leaves, that's okay. That's part of the system. And if someone joins again, that's okay. But when we joined Webandcrafts, if someone leaves, it's like a mourning, for 2 days. Everyone will be so sad. They are at the brim of crying even. Eben will be like, too tense for 2 days. And I was like, see, why you people are like so worried about one person leaving? Do you think like you can sustain or grow this company with that person for his for having him for very long? That's not going to happen. But later on I understood, for a startup ecosystem, that's a scenario. Someone whom you have given everything and built from the scratch, and you have put your effort, your money and everything, and one fine day if he tells like I'm leaving, that's very much hard breaking for them. Then I understood it. But again, I tried to cope up with those situations. I would, sometimes I would do just act up like, oh yeah, it's very sad that he's leaving, let's find something. but it happened. And at a later stage, I realized there are few things which the society teaches us. We get a lot of motivation, a lot of advices from everywhere, but it won't work for us, for our scenario, for our company, or for our own life. Please make sure that you be yourself. That gives you that edge. that changes things, that will make sure that you will be successful. So these are the two things which I follow. And then, these tips like, okay, how learn to prioritize things. That's one main thing. If you're getting to this, action, in an action plan level, first thing I would say, learn to prioritize. What I do is like, I time box things. Like when I reach office, I do think like, okay, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, I draw a box and I will be assigning that box to HR. And anything, even though anything happens, around, I would be dedicating that time to HR team. I just call them beforehand and I tell them, I will be available from 10 to 11 for HR. Whatever you have, you just come to me. So I just time box 10 to 11, that's it. Then 11 to 12, again I will be like time boxing. So some tips like that, like, prioritizing, time boxing, doing work smarter, delegating things will help. So these are the learnings. I'm still learning, I don't know like if I am the right person to comment on it, still learning.
Yeah, I think Jilu, that point is very, very valid. Maybe a round of applause to her for saying the right thing. That is, there is never a perfect moment to start. There is no perfect strategy for a situation. There is no management book that can tell it all, because if somebody would do it, everybody would follow that, right? So you just grab the opportunity and go through the pain, because like you rightly said, you started saying that, oh, I have a vision and everything else will follow. No, everything else will not follow. There is going to be a lot of pain in making that vision towards translation. So that's where I stop. Any more? Oh, you have one more question. Okay.
Hello.
I don't want to take much of your time. So my another question is pointing on to Mr. Allwyn Kent. So as a company, what are the, how do you brand setting up your company in such a remote place? Now, when we have in cities coming, there are so many IT parks coming in. And half of the branding is done when your office in IT Park. I think Anoop would know, because they have most of the startups in UL Cyber Park in his office, so I know that. So apart, when you are setting up your office in one of the remote locations or another location in the city itself rather than the IT Park, so in the branding point of view, how do you think the company should take up that in branding their product or the company? Yeah, that's it.
I think the IT park branding or info park branding is, in my perspective, is more for the employees to go and tell in their family that working in info park. But maybe for the marriage market and things like that, it helps a lot. Saying Betheri than saying info park. But from a company branding perspective, Wayanad is a huge advantage for us. So we have this a company called SCS Satellites. It's a largest satellite provider in the world, and we do write a lot of softwares for maneuvering the satellites, transmission of the channels and things like that. So it's a small, it's not a large business from the SCS perspective for us. It's around 300-400K business, right? But they have a huge office in Israel, and I'm just telling a story here. So one of their employees came to Kannur airport to visit us in Wayanad and told the immigration that, oh, I'm going to Wayanad to meet with a software company on a business trip. So the entire immigration people came down. He's a tall, bold guy, and for sure he's saying something fraud, right? You could have made a much better story. So he was almost to be arrested and things like that, and then I had to intervene, send my annual report and all of that to get this guy out of the airport. And he came in next day. There was a vigilance officer coming to our office to check what's going on. When he saw the office, he was fine. But the part is that this guy went back and he had a casual meeting with his CEO on a casual level and told this story. Then the CEO was, from a CEO perspective of SCS Satellites, we are a very small vendor. But this got stuck in his mind, right? And, Wayanad, and he started Googling about Wayanad. He started asking the program director who runs this program about this company, and it got stuck in his mind. So, very accidentally, a few months back, I met the CEO of this company in Amsterdam during a conference like this, and And then this guy just, he was having a coffee and he kept his coffee down, rubbed his hand on the shirt and gave me a shake hand and said, oh, this is the company from Forest, right? And it got stuck in his mind. And, everybody saw this. And, now it's acting to our massive advantage that the brand of being inside the forest or among the tiger or elephant, it stays inside people. And now we know that, at least to a good extent, unless we do a really bad job, nobody in SES will dare to cancel our contract because we have become the CEO's people. And on top of it, this CEO gave us a connection to the Sky UK, the Sky networks in UK. They met each other, and this guy, if people want stories to say, right? So this guy told this story to the Sky CEO, and the Sky CEO said, yeah, I'm also looking for a company to build a new POC where they want to experiment in the OTT space at different ways of streaming. And so we have a lot of work done in the OTT space. And then the Sky CEO says his procurement guy to give me a call. So, that's the best sales to happen, and this stays in mind of people. So I think we have to use this in your advantage, the whole forest and tiger and elephant, although we are scared of it, but yeah.
All right, I just got a slip from the MC that I should close the session, but I'm going to take the liberty of one more question to them.
Yeah, in regard to branding, because we are a branding company, we are a digital transformation company, like from branding to digital marketing we do. So, your team is the best way to, market yourself. If they say a word in digital media, that's the best thing to happen in terms of the employment part. Make use of LinkedIn, every social media. You can see Webandcrafts, all these smiling faces everywhere. Even people tell us, you are bombarding LinkedIn just like that, and we have stopped our branding recently. So your team first, second, your clients or people you talk to, because any word, even in our sales, what we do is like we say no at times, because if we don't see a potential in the client's requirement, and if we feel like the client is not going to be successful with his project, we say no to them. We tell them, sir, don't do this project. At the end of the day, we will get the payment, that is fine, but you are not going to be successful, so please don't do that. That itself is a marketing. He will tell this to many people. So next, your clients, and use, get the leverage of all the online medias. Make sure you have a good presentable website, your LinkedIn page and everything. Boost it, and there are other marketing techniques too, but this is an organic way of doing it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jilu. And I'll just one sentence, okay? And this is very, very important. When you are you asked about sales and marketing, right? Your sales and marketing people should not be stationed in Wayanad. They should be stationed in Bangalore or San Francisco. Your development team can be based out of Wayanad. But more than, like I was mentioning before, more than the traditional sales pitch, world is changing into a different kind of sales. That is networking sales, experimental sales, experiential sales, etc., etc. But quality of your deliverables becomes the single most valuable sales collateral that you're going to have. And I've often noticed that there is a tendency to stay or stick on to the mediocrity. I have worked with Jilu and team in the past developing our own website. I have looked at some of the work that Allwyn has done. Both of them deliver high quality solutions, which I think is one of the reasons why you're successful. What is your mantra, and what is your advice to the people who are sitting here who should actually work towards that from mediocrity to excellence? How do we attain that? And I'll wind up with this question, but try to be as short as possible. Jilu, you can.
Sure, yeah. You may find it weird, but our team is working in the projects. It's not us actually. At the end of the day, they design, they develop, they market, they do the end stuff. What we do is we focus on attitude more than skills. You may think, what's the direct relationship between attitude, skill and quality? Again, there is a discrepancy. But believe me, if a person is of right attitude, they will deliver you the right thing. It's not the skill. That's, my learning. Second thing, what we do is we give them the best amenities, best resources. Let it be their computers, their space, their ecosystem, and everything should be best. Because when I ask them for 100%, I should be justifying, that I am giving them the 100% from my end. they should be in a position that when I ask them, I need a website like Apple, I should be giving them the equipments or hardware that should be capable enough of building such a system. So that is the second thing. And the third part, I would say it's always quality matters because it speaks for itself. In our work, there is nothing needed. If they look at our website, our works, if you can just search, webandcrafts.com, we have spent around 1.5 crores on that website because we researched, we did background work and everything. So that is one of the best website in India, I would say. But that requires research, right team, at the right time, at the right place. So these are the few tips I would say for quality.
So I think for us it's purely truth, right? Like no lies at all. So we have a super rule that any employee caught lying to the customer will be fired the next day, and even internally, right? You ask for a timelines or anything of that sort, they get fired. And then the whole idea is like to win business. Many times we do compromises, right? So maybe, I don't know when we grow up how we will be, but at this stage we have set aside few very specific rules, right? Doesn't matter, we will include 70 to 80% of test code inside. And the sales team is not allowed to negotiate timelines with the tech team. So if the tech team provides the timelines to the sales, so I take care of the sales mostly, and I'm not allowed to go and negotiate back with them, because then they are forced to adjust the timelines, which is not realistic. So I think the whole concept of you cannot lie in this company. You cannot say a single word of lie, and that is the only sin inside this company is the rule we have made. That can lead to quality, I think.
Thank you. And 2 days back, actually, Joy is probably my age, an engineer who's sitting in Padrapalli and his team actually developed an online translation application which won the Pashani challenge of the government of India. And the mandate that was given to him was, when Pradhan Mantri delivers his Man Ki Baat, it should automatically be translated into all the vernacular languages of India. And in that contest, he came in first. So Joy from Padrapalli, Jilu from Koratty, Allwyn from Wayanad, Jobin and Jismi from Chalakudi, Sajesh from Ottapalam. I can name many champions who have made it work in the remote villages of Kerala. And I hope that the decentralization of the knowledge ecosystem is going to happen in the state of Kerala, across the state of Kerala, and we are going to build a knowledge ecosystem which will thrive in the days to come. Thank you, Jilu and Allwyn, for a wonderful session, and thanks for listening.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you.
Thank you.